Hey, this is Luke. Welcome back to Leicester City Down Under. It is currently 42 degrees in sunny Perth. I might die. But other than that, it's all going good. Just going to bring in Dave.
Hey,
Thank you for. How you going, mate? Thanks for joining.
it's a hot one.
It's a hot one here.
Yeah, as I say,
But-
I think it's about 8 degrees here, so it's quite a pleasant morning.
oh, I can't even step a foot outside without getting skin cancer.
It's terrible,
Um,
isn't it? How you doing?
Dave, good, mate. What do you reckon? Enzo's rubbish. Should we sack him?
Get rid of him. Can't believe how he's not got us promoted yet.
Yeah, get up forward.
Yeah, I, I don't know. It gets boring after a while, Luke, doesn't it? All this nonsense.
It does. I personally have quite enjoyed the football. I thought it was a bit more frustrating to begin with, but you can really starting to see it click now, and you can see what they're trying to do and take get people out of position, playing it around out the back, and been able to hit them on the counter, so to speak, and catch them off guard. But when it flows, mate, I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. I was like you actually. If you remember when we spoke on LTID early, whenever it was frustrating, wasn't it? And the errors were there. And again, we still see the errors, but if you play like that, you're going to get errors. So, just enjoy it and enjoy where we are. I mean, we're there nearly.
We're nearly there, and at bare minimum, we're going to get playoffs, but it's comfortably. I think I'll pull up the table in a second, but I believe we're 13 points clear. So,
Yeah.
but that goal with Ricardo, that not the Sheffield game, the game before, that is the perfect example of playing it out through from the back
Yeah.
effectively.
And and teams know it, don't they? And they still can't stop it when it works.
No, they can't. Like to begin with, teams were sitting back and trying to park a bus, and that wasn't working. And then if people press us, we'll hit them, and it's just beautiful to watch. And I want to start with that back three. I thought was the best game they had together. Wout Face was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I think I always get a bit nervous because that odd ball. I mean, even Harry Winks got involved, didn't he? Which is unusual. It's probably his first major error all season, which you can't moan at. But I do get a little bit panicky because teams are going to push us. We know that they're going to press us hard, or they should do. Um, I don't think Sheffield Wednesday had a lot on the first half, but they will try and push us. So we've got to make it right. But when you're right, when it goes well, my God, doesn't it look brilliant? I mean, that would take most of the Premier teams apart. Some of that football.
I actually spot on agree with you, Dave. A lot of people have been saying, "Oh, we're not going to be able to play like this, and it's not going to be as effective, and we would have been punished a lot of these times." And maybe, but right now we can only play in the league that we're in. And if you ask me, if you go back to I don't know if you watched it, Dave, but the preseason game against Liverpool, they put out a strong side. In the first 20 minutes, we looked quite comfortable, looked good on the ball. We were controlling the game. Yes, we lost 4-0, but that was very early days. Still a lot of players yet to come in. So it's evident that we are going to commit to the same style. And what I think is vital is that we get the practice in now in a league below where we're not going to cop these hidings for a couple of weeks or week in, week out. Get the team confident because you can see that band of brothers is back again. So I'm quite confident that we can do some damage in the lower half of the table next season if we go up.
Yeah, and if the fans behave and support it, then great. That's the big worry, isn't it? The old Leicester syndrome. Your granddad would probably tell you that in the old days. It was like, oh my God, everyone's moaning. I used to have some old couples sitting behind me at season ticket in the 70s, and they moaned like crazy as well. And we didn't win anything, but we played some good football. But that wasn't good enough for them. And now we're winning and not playing. I don't know what they expect. We're winning games. We're winning in one of the toughest leagues, probably in the world, to be fair. Not necessarily quality wise, but to get out of. I mean, every week the pundits are saying, yeah, this is a really tough league. There's a lot. Any team can beat any team. Well, there's not many teams beat Leicester this year. and they're not going to. So, what more do you want?
That's exactly right. It's very different. The start of the season, as you just said, it's a tough league. We could be here for years, and now it's we'll look at your squad and look at the depth that you have. That is true, Dave. But that squad depth isn't everything. You got to utilize it properly. Like look at Chelsea. Like all the money in the world.
Let's look at Chelsea.
Bollocks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, like I don't mean to slag them off, but like,
oh yes, let's. Yes, please.
Oh, well, go on then. Yeah.
I've suffered so much living in Surrey, as I was then, from Chelsea fans giving it large that this is such a wonderful time. They reckon they got the best manager in the world and he still can't win.
Chelsea to get relegated.
Oh, nice thought, Luke.
Look, one thing I think is interesting to talk about quickly about the last game, Dave, is for me, it's quite evident now we're not going to see Yunus. I don't mind him and I like him. We initially brought him as a right winger. He's got McAteer in front of him, who was holding that spot down quite well before he got injured. Yep. And now Fatawu just looks an even level above. And McAteer kind of hasn't really settled in since. He's been moved around. He's been put in the midfield. Is at high 8. He's been put in the left wing the last couple of games. He didn't look very comfortable there. So Yunus, I think we're not going to sign him. What's interesting is Dennis Pratt has been getting better and better every game, and he's that reliable, experienced midfielder that we need because we didn't get Sensi. Now it doesn't look like the end of the world. Pratt, everyone was saying, he doesn't want to be here. If I recall correctly, before last season, he said, I want to fight for my spot, but Rodgers froze him out. Now, on the ball, I think he's really reliable, similar play on what we wanted for Sensi, and I think there's nothing wrong with playing him out until the end of the season. Shaking hands, wishing well.
Well, I think most fans have thought he was worth his place. I mean, he's an international in a quality international side. Don't forget that. And it's only his injuries that I think we're all worried about because he does get injured fairly easily. But, every time I see him on the team sheet, I look great, because you're right, he's reliable. I mean, he won that penalty pretty convincingly, and he's good. And I don't know why he was frozen out. I don't know what happened. Well, hey, who knows what happened last season? I mean, goodness knows, everybody was frozen out, weren't they?
Yeah. And we only had one winger, and now we have lots of them. Madison's forced to play in the right wing last season. So, Jamie Vardy, do you want to give him another year?
Yeah, we discussed this the other night, and I think we're all torn. Excuse me, we're all torn. We want to, but I don't know. I don't know. I think if he goes out on high and we win as champions and he scores a few goals, I think he should say, "Okay, thanks, lads." But I'd love to keep him at the club in some form.
Yes,
I'd love to have kept Casper at the club in some form because these guys are heroes and legends, and they will. If you're not doing the business, they will motivate you one way or the other. So I don't know, mate. I honestly haven't a real honest opinion on that. My heart says yes, my head says no.
That is the most safest diplomatic answer I think you could give. Just leave it as that. Heart says yes, head says no. I thought he had a decent game. He made some good runs. He got caught offside a lot, but he did make some good runs. He got his goal. 2 assists from Keenan Dewsbury-Hall. The man's on fire. He is absolutely, probably him and Winks, one of the best players in this league, I would think.
No, without
with
doubt.
My blue tinted glasses.
No, without doubt. And it's ironic that he's one of our top scorers. The two sort of midfielders, aren't they? Mavadini's probably a winger, but he can play. They can play anywhere. That's the beauty. What Enzo's doing is he's getting players to play anywhere. So they're not just wingers. They're not just strikers. They're not just left side or right side. And I think that's the beauty of the team now. You can see it. That everybody's comfortable in different positions. You saying the front line's moving about. who was a winger, is now sort of inside. So I think it's working brilliantly. Really do. It's almost too good to be true, isn't it? You're kind of waiting for that bubble to just dramatically explode or something, but it's not going to happen.
You would know better than me, but that's natural for a Leicester fan to always be expecting something to go wrong. And for me, I feel the exact same. And also, like, it's a lot about, like, if you think about it, right, in terms of Enzo and putting people out of position and trying different things, what I like about that as well is that he rotates the squad. And if you do well, you get a chance and you keep your spot. So you got competitive and people fight for a spot, which I think is really good. We're not giving the shirt out to like Tillerman's week in, week out, like, for example, for the
No.
sake of it. And like, it's been a team of revelations. Yannick Vestergaard, we thought he was gone, useless. He's, in my opinion, had a very good game. And going back to that back three, we look so much more comfortable with him in the squad because he's vital for that ball distribution through the middle. Him and Winks, it's like two very important cogs in the machine for me, Dave.
Yeah, and I think it just shows you what we could have done maybe last year if it had given us a chance. If Rodgers had given everybody a chance, we just might not have gone down. Which, looking back, would that have been a good thing or would it have been a bad thing? I mean, the fact we got relegated and got rid of a lot of the deadwood, we have a new team now and a hungry squad, and it can only look good. I think we're sort of the old folk. We're getting out of this. Something's going to go wrong because I've never been so confident in my life that we're going to win the league, and I cannot see anybody turning us over. Leeds, you'd think, are the only ones, but even they've got their flaws. They can lose the odd game to one of the mid-table teams or something like that. We do not look like we're going to do that.
We don't, and we also look like we're comfortably ahead. They have to worry about catching up to us. I'm looking at the table now. We're sitting on 78 points. Leeds are on 66. We're 12 points. We've got 4 games on them, or 3 games on them. 3 or 4. It's just like Southampton just dropped points to Bristol. We can now relax, but I think the first Sheffield Wednesday game when we had a lot of rotations, Enzo's learnt his lesson. So I'm going to get into the lineup I've done here. I'm going to put up on screen for you, Dave. I don't know how well we can see that. I can zoom in on that for you if you need.
That's good. No,
okay, so I've gone for Hermansen, of course. And again, he made a few good saves against Sheffield Wednesday. Yannick Vestergaard. Now, I've gone for JJ again instead of Doyle. I personally think he doesn't offer the same, like, in passing sometimes from the left, obviously. But although, in saying that, he did make quite a few passes upfield of his left in that game against Sheffield. But he's a lot faster. And I think Middlesbrough, ironically, one of the most frustrating games we had other than Leeds. They didn't give us as much time on the ball last time from what I remember. So I think JJ's speed's going to be integral to nullify that. Now, I've gone for Harry Winks again and Ricardo Pereira. He's, pushing up midfield as he does. Now, I've got Dennis Pratt again, Dewsbury Hall. Basically the same teammate, except I think Vardy played close to 90 minutes before Cannon came on. So I think we're going to see Daka start again. Now, how would you feel about that starting 11? I think that's pretty strong.
It is, yeah. I'd have to think whether Daka or Cannon to start, only because I think probably Middlesbrough need a little bit of knocking about at the back, and I don't think Daka's that sort of player. But Cannon gives me the impression that he gets his foot in, and he will give a bit of grief to the defenders. But that would be the only reason. I think, Vardy, we had a pretty good idea he was going to play the last game because we needed the pace, and Vardy's still got the pace, as you said earlier. But I mean, we could argue all day about the team, and we'd still come up with a good squad or good team, and that's the beauty, isn't it? I mean, we're not even looking at an alternative back three. Justin, yeah, I agree with you on that one, definitely. But you think who else? The substitute players we've got on the bench and not even in the squad they could take over. That's just something we've never had for a long, long time.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Like we're still like, look at Nelson getting a start ahead of Cody now, who we all thought was going to possibly be our captain and I believe a 10 million signing, and he's sitting on the bench.
I said we needed Cody to sort them out after Schmeichel had gone. We needed somebody to give it large and captain the side, but he's not had a sniff, has he? Not at all.
No, he hasn't. You know what? To be fair, I think they should just permanently give the armband to Pereira, mate. He's really stood up.
Yes, he has, and he's got a bit more sensible as well, hasn't he? He's not reckless like he used to be. Because you'd think if things were going wrong, you could see Ricardo just taking somebody out and getting a card or two. But you're right. I mean, he's really risen to the challenge. I think, yeah, I mean, next year will be different. It doesn't matter what we do next year, to be honest, as far as players. And this is this year, and we need to get promoted. We need to beat the record championship points and all the things that Leicester can do. But you look around and you see players who are young. They're keen. They love the manager. They've signed up for it. They really have. You can tell because when there's any criticism, the players take it as well. And we know they're going to make mistakes. You try and play the ball out like as many times as Leicester, you're going to make a mistake. It's going to happen. And we've got, as fans, we've got to live with it. Else we wouldn't get the other bit.
Mate, I think I'll have to just double check this, but I believe in our last 4 games, I think we've scored something like 15 and conceded only 3. Like, it's crazy. Like, so we are, like, we say that we're going to concede goals playing the way we do, and we have a couple of times, but, like, very few, like, our goal difference this season's absolutely mental. It's got 44 goal difference. Like, what?
Yeah, 40-odd goal difference. We've scored more than anybody else. We've conceded less than anybody else. We've got shed loads more points than anybody else. What's everybody moaning about? For God's sake,
It's an absolute piss take. I was stirring up a Cobb fan earlier today on social media. He said, wouldn't it be nice to bring Jamie Vardy off the bench? He's actually right, to be fair. It is absolutely ridiculous. But Dave, going back to what you said, mate, I think you raised a very good point. I've given Daka a lot of slack in the past, and I agree he is very weak on the physicality wise. I think a stiff breeze could knock that man over. But you're right. Tom Cannon is very good physical, like old school striker, and I like it quite a lot. And even in the games he hasn't scored in, every one of his shots has been immediate and it's been on target. So he's got an eye for goal, and I definitely would like to see him get more of a run too. But Dak has kind of been undeniable, to be fair. Granted, there have been tap-ins and penalties, but his work rate off the ball is relentless. So I'm really hoping that Enzo can continue to develop him.
Yeah. Well, I think he's good enough, certainly, and he's good enough for the Premier League. Whether his mental abilities is good, I don't know, because I noticed a few games. It's a bit like Iniacho. If it's not going well, don't tell Brad though. His head drops and his shoulders fall, and you can see he needs confidence. They all need confidence, but those two more than anything. And Daka didn't get that till he went away and played, in the trophy, in the internationals. So I think that just shows if you play him, he'll perform. And you're right, he's on fire, isn't he? So what's a penalty? We missed penalties.
Yes.
We haven't missed any penalties, have we? Or maybe one, I can't remember.
I don't think we have this season, to be fair.
No, so that's pretty reliable. You win the penalty, you put it away, great, off we go. Did you say Cov fans earlier?
Oh, I was being a bit of a shit stir earlier today. I was being a bit smug. I can't help it, mate. We've had such a horrible season last season. It's just, you can't help but smell the roses right now, can you?
I watched a little bit of their game on, was it Sunday? Can't remember now. Didn't seem anybody there. It's all the empty seats for a team that's on fire and pushing for promotion or playoffs. It's half empty.
Mate, they're going to have nothing to live live for, like than other than on football wise live for. The game wise, they've got nothing to be excited about, but that one win against us, when we're one man short. They'll be condemned to the championship, and
it's their
we'll
FA
soon...
Cup final, isn't it?
It is.
Let them
So
have their moment. Dewsbury Hall said it all, didn't he? Let's see who's doing that at the end of the season.
love you, God bless him. Look,
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the Middlesbrough started strong, and I'm looking at their form here, Dave. They just lost earlier or yesterday for you guys to Preston, lost to Bristol, drew with Sunderland, got violated 6-1 by Chelsea, and then they drew with Rotherham. So quite patchy, favourable form, but as you know, football's not played on paper. But I would like to stick the knife in them and twist it.
Well, I think that's the danger though with these teams, isn't it? They can produce a result. I mean, like Hull, how the hell did we lose to Hull? Goodness knows. You dominate the game and lose 1-0. But I think that's the only worry for me, is that Middlesbrough could do another 1-0. But I don't think so. I think I'm just being Leicester, so I think, I'm in that confident zone now where we can beat anybody.
That's how I feel, Dave. I think we could even do some damage in the bottom half of the Premier League right now, and I'm quite excited to see Bournemouth, but I'm not convinced when we play Bournemouth they're going to put out a strong side, mate. But if they do, I would like to go strong as well. But just to see, out of curiosity, to see how we're going to shape up next season.
I was going to say, apart from Bournemouth, because I can't remember beating them. Home or away. I cannot remember it.
I'm pretty sure we had an ugly loss against them at the end of the season last season.
We had some terrible results down there, and even at home. And I know some guys say, well, it's only the FA Cup. Only, come on, we want to win it.
Mate,
we want to win it and get promoted.
Can you imagine? This is a very, very fantasy hypothetical, but it's possible. Can you imagine if we made it to the end of the FA Cup and won it? And I think we would get qualifications for the Europa League or the Conference, and get promoted to the Premier League. I don't think anyone's ever done that before. And as you know, as a Leicester fan, we can dare to dream.
Yeah, and be Enzo out.
So out. Get Marsh in.
Oh God, that was close, wasn't it? That was too close for comfort. That was.
That gave me anxiety, mate. It's
but Middlesbrough are a funny team, though, as I said. But they seem to be struggling, and they lost a couple of players, didn't they, in the summer, which affected them. But I think they'll find it tough, very tough, because they're going to have to come out and attack us. Because we're going to just sit back for a little while and see what they do. And if that happens, we'll crucify them. So
it does. As long as we make the right passes and the right plays, it tends to favour some people play like that. We saw what happened the first time Southampton played us. But in saying that, if people don't give us too much time on the ball, the only times we have, ironically, I think, struggled were against Middlesbrough and Leeds. And I think Leeds gave us no time on the ball, and they really pressed us. And it either goes completely in our favour when it opens up the gaps and we completely just, drown people, or we might get caught off and hit the counter. But I think that the reason why the back three, I think, works so well, and why I'm starting every game more and more to be convinced that Yannick's here to stay, is he has a lot more time on the ball, because, yes, we have a back three, but our wingers absolutely track back. Harvey Barnes never did that, and our right winger was Madison, and he's not a right winger. I think that first 20 minutes, Dave, against Sheffield Wednesday, Mavididi tracked all the way back and put in a crunching tackle, and their final third are our, defence, and it was beautiful.
Doesn't that actually say a lot for the manager? Harvey Barnes was a terrible defender. He didn't know who to pick up. He was sort of wandering around on his own when the opposition were attacking, and he really didn't know what he was doing. And it was only when he got the ball that he came alive. And you think, and Newcastle, I know he's been injured, but Newcastle know that. They were playing him off the bench for impact. Now, to go from a potential England international to an impact player is pretty disappointing for a lad that age. But that's the way he was. And you're right. Our boys are back there fighting for each other. And I think if they weren't, not only would the manager give them grief, but so would Harry Winks and Dewsbury Hall and people like that. And that's where the team is together, big time. I didn't see last season um, a lot of bollockings going on from players to players. I didn't see that. It was all, oh, here we go again, or we don't know what we're doing type thing. I didn't see any fire. Now we've got fire and passion, even on the bench, which is beautiful. The
It
guy's
is.
he's had 3 bookings. Come on. All we need now is a red card and he'll be a hero.
You raise a good point. You can see that camaraderie there, and you see when Winks made that mistake, and it's straight away everyone's putting an arm around him. Don't
Yeah,
worry about it, mate. After the game, Enzo straight up to him, keep his head in it, and move forward. And that is vital. We didn't have
yeah,
that. Last season, we had Ward and Didi or Ward and fill in the blank, pointing fingers at each other. The defense didn't have confidence in Ward. And that's another thing as well, mate. Hermansen, his ball distribution has been excellent. Granted, he might make a few mistakes playing the way we do, but that's going to happen, as you said. And the
yeah.
defenders trust him. And then it's just put that unity on top. Recipe for success, Dave.
Oh, also, we got 4 goalkeepers, so he's got a lot of options there, hasn't he? We had more
Yeah,
goalkeepers than strikers at the start of the season. But
it's
it's a shame we can't get them off the wage bill, but I'm sure we will in the summer. But I don't know. I mean, he seems to be a mini Schmeichel because his arms and legs are everywhere. He stops it with every part of his body, but he's like he doesn't look a big guy, does he? But he fills the goal and he makes it look small, and that's what's given us the bonus, really. Because I was surprised when he came in and took the first spot initially. I didn't expect that.
Sorry, mate, I'm just plugging in the charger. I
Sorry,
didn't expect it either, and I was even surprised that before we even did sign him, that we're being linked to him, because I thought it was pretty set in
yeah,
stone that Iverson was going to be
yeah,
the main man, and
yeah.
just we had to back Enzo, and now it's paid dividends, and that's why I trust him whenever it comes to transfers, unlike Rodgers.
Well, he wasn't even second choice, was he? And he's on loan now, of course. But he's an international. He was something you think, well, yeah, you're in, mate, because you've been playing all the cup games and you should be playing the league games, and you had a great season or half season at Preston, and everyone's raving about you. And now, bang! So he's obviously seen something that he didn't like. Maybe distribution. Maybe that's what it is.
I think
And
that's
you
definitely
look at the Premier League, Luke, and they make mistakes at the back all the time. Man City do it. Liverpool did it the other day. Chelsea do it all the time, and 1 or 2 others. So we're not unique on this thing. But what do you want? Do you want to kick it on the middle and bang it in, or do you want to play football? Because it is glorious to watch when it works.
it's glorious, and I'm just going to bring up this comment here from Craig. Craig, I hope you're well, mate. I personally believe Iverson wasn't good enough. Craig, I agree and I don't. I think as a shot stopper, I thought he was brilliant at times. I thought his ball distribution was poor. But to be fair, Casper's was as well, if you remember it, mate. It would
Yeah,
always just loop it forward and it would put it out and it would put us back under pressure. Iverson, if you remember also in the preseason, the few times he did play, he was trying to play with his feet a lot more. So it was clear that Enzo was like, look, this is your chance, mate. This is how I want to play. And like you said, Dave, if you look at the Premier League, this sweeper keeper things, look at Ramsdale, mate. He can't even get a look in an Arsenal anymore. These are the sort of style of keepers that teams are starting to want now, and they're few and far in between. And Mads Hermansen is actually, I think both him and Iverson are both Danish, and they were the 2 and 3 to Schmeichel, ironically. So Mads is going to be knocking on that door, mate. Casper's getting on a bit now. I heard and read he's been doing well at Anderlecht, but be a matter of time, mate, until Hermansen's that goalkeeper
yeah,
for Denmark.
yeah. And I know, I mean, I was probably one of the few that thought Danny Ward did okay. He was the first that came for crosses and collected them, because Schmeichel again stayed on his line a lot. But Danny
Yes.
Ward used to come out and get the ball, take the pressure off the defence. But some of the goals that we conceded in that season, last season, we're down to the defenders without any shadow of a doubt. Lack of confidence, lack of ability, lack of chat, maybe lack of confidence in the keeper as well, which means if a keeper shouts for the ball, you don't leave it. You know, we had, Faz scored 2 goals at Liverpool, 2 own goals. And one was because he didn't hear the call or didn't listen to the call. The other one was unlucky, I know, but you've got to have confidence in your goalkeeper and let them do their job. And I think a mixture of that screwed Danny Ward big time, and he just lost it. And after that, the mistakes kept coming from everybody. So I think he took a lot of harsh criticism. The alternative, Everson could have played, but didn't. And it was interesting. Danny Ward was a good shot stopper, but again, the rest of it, he wasn't quick of thought. Now we've got a system which we never had last year. The system was try and find your player or get it down the middle. This year, it's obvious. We got the 2 back men playing alongside, and they're passing the ball and moving it up and see what happens. I think you said something earlier about when we're under pressure, but I think sometimes if we've got too much time, that's an effect, because Vestergaard stands there on the ball and doesn't know what to do with it sometimes because he's not under pressure to do anything. Whereas if you need to lay it off quick and then, to Winks and then the side ball and everything else, maybe. But hey, we're not even a season into the new management and we're playing dream football. Not all the time, but God, give it another year. Can you imagine?
I'm of the same blind, I wouldn't even call it blind confidence as you, Dave, because again, and it's not just like, don't forget as soon as he came in, he got rid of a lot of the old assistant coaches, managers, Stow, etc. He just completely drained the swamp, started afresh of his new style of football he wants to play. And again, it's clicking. We're not even a full season in yet. And I think that I don't think we're going to have a complete war chest, so to speak, when we go up. But I can see us going for another centre back and a left winger because Mavididi can't start every game. But I completely agree with you, mate. I think it's going to continue to develop, and that's why I think it's vital that no one wants to get relegated. But I think that if you think of all the doubters of Enzo now, can you imagine if we tried to do this rebuild and this new style of play in the Premier League? We might not have developed that confidence that we have in camaraderie from all these wins that we have now. So I'm hoping that the boys go up next season with a chip on the shoulder, of a point to prove. Because Dave, let's not forget, like Harry Winks, he's been in Champions League football. Ricardo Pereira, another international. We've got some still amazing like Premier League quality in the side. It's not like we're going up like and doing a Burnley, so to speak.
Woot is an international. They're all internationals, which is incredible, really. Say there's not too many. Even JJ, if he hadn't got injured, was in the England squad, and he will be again. But they've, it's an amazing array of talent, and you think, well, how far can they go? How much support do they need to keep going? How much money? You're right, but I think Enzo could probably write his own paycheck out if we break the record. And rightly so. The fair play thing won't come in. We'll lose so many players off the books, so that won't be a problem. There won't be many pay rises going on, I don't think, because most of them are all on Premier League wages anyway that were there last year. So I think we'll have a lot more money than we think, but I think we'll still be sensible about it because, you just look at Everton, Man City and Chelsea again, and it's not hit the fan yet by far. Man City will pay a price, without doubt.
I've been watching some very interesting stuff on Man City, and some of the stuff I've been seeing is pretty bad. Like something like along the lines of, I think, around 60 to 70 million per season that they've overspent. And I think Everton was only like 19.5 million pounds. So I don't know. Maybe they're going to have couple of handshake, couple of envelopes passed under the table here and there. Who knows?
Surely not, Luke. Surely not. The FA? No. I think the problem is it's so complicated that the lawyers can tie you in knots, and therefore, Man City's lawyers are more expensive and more experienced than the Premier League's lawyers. So it could go on for years, and that's the
It could.
problem. Yeah,
They've got
but
the money to drag it out too, don't they?
there's no doubt they're guilty. Absolutely no doubt at all, because you don't buy players like that and not break any fair play rules with the crowds. I mean, I know they got capacity crowds most weeks, but it's still not enough. You'd need 100,000 people every week to pay for all that.
Oh, 100%. And just going to get this quick few comments here. Get a score prediction. I'll get you out of here, Dave. Craig, over short space of time, Enzo has the team playing in a way we could only dream of. Credit to him. Spot on, mate. I agree. We would have taken playoffs before the season started.
We'd have taken staying up, wouldn't we?
The way it felt at the end of the season was complete despair. I was like thinking we're going to get double relegated. I was that dirty. But this is a good one here. Okay. We have some good youth players coming through. Okay. So, Craig, I think that's down to as well. We're going back to Dave before talking about Enzo and bringing in new staff and new assistant. From all I'm told that and here that the under 23s or the youth are all playing very similar football, so that when they do come up and they are ready and the ones that shine, they're ready to fit into that system. And we're seeing that like Cover trying to play in Ricardo's role, which is not an easy role. Nelson starting ahead of an ex-England international who we thought was going to be our captain and Connor Cody. McAteer, I think he was at Wimbledon before in League Two. No one would have expected him to do as well as he did at the start of the season.
No, and there's more.
And
there's more, and they'll get a chance. That's the beauty of it. And I think by what are we now? February. Once we're getting really close, I think you'll see these players being filtered in slowly, either into the squad, match day squad, or actually getting some time on the pitch, because it's vital. You have to keep rebuilding. I mean, as much as you may dislike him, Ferguson was very good at that. You know, he wouldn't rest on his laurels. He wouldn't, if you listen to Roy Keane, Ferguson got rid of people like Steve Bruce and Pallister and all that lot. Brian Robson just dumped them basically because their time had gone. You know, you've had your good time, lads. You've been well paid for it. Now, sod off. We've got new players like Beckham and all that lot coming through. So I think Enzo's probably going to be like that. You know, this is not just short term. No matter what he says, this is where he can, for the next 4 or 5 years, make a big fist. And then after that, he can go anywhere he likes. I mean, he'd probably go to Man City if he wanted to. As long as
I hope he doesn't go.
No, well, of course not, but he will. You know, you've got to think that inevitably he's not going to stick around forever, because we're not going to be a constantly chasing title side. You know, we might have a moment, but we know, we've still got to build the extra 10,000 seats, which will help with the fair play. Looking at it, maybe it should be an extra 20,000 seats, but that's not going to happen. But we've got the best training ground in Europe and possibly the world, or one of the best with Man City. So, we're getting there. We just had a blip, and you tell me any business that doesn't have a blip at some stage. So we're getting there. And I tell you what, I wish I was about 30 years younger, could enjoy it more, because I think the next 5 or 10 years is going to be incredible.
Mate, I'm sure I've got plenty of years left. And
well, I don't know. It could have been worse this morning. I could have been listening to the breakfast show with Chris.
Shout out to Chris.
Don't tell him I've been on.
I won't tell him. If you please check out Chris at Leicester Till I Die or Surrey Hills Radio, and also I believe it does some stuff for BBC, but I'll let him give that 1,000 shout outs the next time he talks about it. / something.
And I hear Kate's going on the BBC as well. Bloody hell.
We're not going to be blessed by a company much more, are we, mate? She's a celebrity now.
Fortunately, after Monday night, they won't invite me on the BBC, so that's a bonus.
Mate, Dave, you're gonna give us a score prediction for the game?
My predictions aren't too great, to be fair, but I mean, I'd take a 1-0, but I reckon it could just be about 3-0. I think it's 3-0.
I think this could be a much more contested game. I'd be curious to see, and because we've got Leeds next as well, so I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised maybe if we see some players get rested, but maybe the likes of Dewsbury Hall for Eunice. I'm not sure, but we'll have to just wait and see, mate. But
it's been a tough
uh,
season.
it's been a tough, grueling
Yeah.
season, and we've got the points to relax as well if we should lose a game. But look, I'm going to go for a 3-0 win. I'm not going to go my classic 4, and I just hope that we can really see some good flowing football. But
I think
Dave,
the problem is, Luke, as well. The FA Cup now has been devalued because it's in the week. I mean, what's going on there? You know, I mean, fans to get down to Bournemouth for a 7:30 kickoff on a Tuesday night is, you know, is just too much to expect. It's not fair. So the players have got that to put up with. You know, playing on the Saturday, Tuesday, back. You know, 1 day training maybe. It's tough. It's getting tough, but it's tough for everybody. So you know, that's why we've got a bigger squad than most.
that's it, mate. We've got to use it. Flex our Man City of the Championship bench. Dave, I really appreciate you coming on, mate. Thank you so much,
You're
and
welcome.
would love to have you on again. And I'll speak to you sometime shortly, mate.
If you can stay up at LTID, you could be
I'll
the
be.
Kate lookalike.
Oh, don't know if I got the looks for that. Um,
Have a
but
good one, mate. Keep cool. Keep cool.
thanks, mate. I'm melting away here. Guys, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and go and check Dave out on the Let's Talk Leicester City podcast on LTID TV. It's a really great show. Him, Kate, and Chris. It's a great dynamic. It's really funny, and looking forward to watching the next one, mate.
All right, pal. Nice to talk to you.
See you later, guys.